She signed the divorce papers to escape a cheating husband, but uncovering a forged loan, a family betrayal, and a hidden fortune would make Amelia realize her real rescue wasn't from marriage, but from the lies that shaped her entire life. The microwave beeped twice, pulling her attention from the cluttered spreadsheet on her laptop. Steam fogged the inside of the scratched microwave door as the frozen lasagna slowly deflated in its plastic tray. Amelia Hart didn't remember putting it in. She barely remembered the last bite she had taken of anything. The past few weeks had been a blur of freelance gigs, overdue invoices, and sleepless nights filled with worry she never voiced aloud. She sat down at the kitchen table, opened her dinner, and forked a half-thawed edge, chewing without tasting. Her phone buzzed. A single notification banner scrolled across the top. $368,742 charged to your card. Flight, hotel, and spa group booking. Her fork stopped midway to her mouth. The air in the room seemed to shift. Her brain took an extra second to catch up with her eyes. She stared at the number again. Didn't shrink. Didn't go away. She hadn't bought a flight. She hadn't booked a hotel. And she hadn't signed up for a spa weekend. Her heart hammered in her chest, fingers flying to open her banking app. The transaction was real. Authorized. Processed. Her jaw clenched just as another message lit up the screen. Liam, WTF, they're denying our tickets. What did you do? Her brother. Amelia tapped into the card menu, hit dispute all, and froze the account. The screen asked if she was sure. She didn't hesitate. Confirmed. Then she typed a reply. What you said, I'm paying my way. She could already picture Liam's face twisted in confusion or rage, unable to comprehend that their always responsible sister had suddenly gone rogue. Amelia was the eldest, the fallback, the unpaid assistant, the background fixer, the human contingency plan. She tossed the lasagna into the trash. Appetite gone. 2 hours passed in near silence. Then the phone rang. She debated answering. Then did. No greeting. No buffer. Just his voice. Loud. Did you seriously cancel the payments? Everyone's stranded at the gate. What the hell is wrong with you? Amelia stood in her small townhouse kitchen facing the hallway mirror. She could see the exhaustion under her eyes. You used my card without permission, she said. I said I wasn't going. His voice rose. You're part of this family. We sacrifice. I have always provided for you. Using my money without asking isn't a sacrifice, she replied. It's theft. The line went dead. She placed the phone down gently. Her hands were shaking. At midnight, her home security app pinged. Motion detected front door. She clicked the thumbnail. There they were. Her parents, Liam. Her youngest sister, Lily. Standing in the frame of her front door like they owned it. Her heart dropped. She'd never changed the garage code after Thanksgiving. Course. The police arrived 8 minutes later. Amelia watched from the staircase as her family stood in the living room arguing with officers. She didn't press charges. She just wanted them gone. Her mother wept. Her father swore. Lily stood in silence, her arms crossed. As they left, her mother's voice cracked. You're not the child I raised. Amelia didn't blink. You raised someone who never said no. That's not who I want to be anymore. She changed the keypad code that night. Cancelled every shared subscription. Locked down every login. The silence that followed was deafening. For the first time in her adult life, no one called. No one asked for favors. No one used her as a buffer. It was like being exiled from her own story. Weeks passed. Then one morning a single text appeared. Lily again. Photo from Maui. Then, sunset. Smiling faces. The caption read, "Family isn't always blood." Amelia stared at it for minutes. Her stomach twisted. Not because they were gone, but because they were fine without her. She didn't cry. She logged off early that day, walked to the corner cafe, and sat with a notebook she hadn't opened in years. The first page was blank. The possibilities terrified her. It was there under dim cafe lights and the quiet hum of strangers' conversations that someone tapped her shoulder. Amelia. He turned. A man stood there. Familiar. From a life she had pushed aside long ago. Ethan Cross. Her college boyfriend. The one who once talked about building a quiet life on the coast. The one who left for Europe and never came back. Wow, he said. I thought that was you. He stared. Time collapsed between them. Her voice caught. Hey, what are you doing here, E? He smiled. Nervous. Moved back last month. I'm teaching at the university. You look. He trailed off. Are you okay? She almost said yes. Almost lied. Then she didn't. No, but I will be. He nodded. Mind if I sit? He didn't. For the first time in a long time, someone wanted nothing from her. No favors. No sacrifice. Just company. The silence between them wasn't empty. It was peace. But peace is always the calm before the next storm. And storms were coming. Ethan sipped his coffee slowly, watching her from across the table like he wasn't sure if she was real or a memory that had wandered back into his life by mistake. Amelia watched him too, unsure if she wanted to reach forward and hold on or run before everything got complicated again. They talked about safe things at first. Work. Cities they had lived in. Friends they no longer keep in touch with. But under the surface was a thrum of something deeper. A shared past that refused to stay buried. He asked what she did now. She told him about her freelance writing, the clients who paid late, the nights she stayed up wondering if she had made a mistake choosing this life. And he listened. Not the half-distracted nodding she was used to, but real listening. The kind that made her chest ache a little. When he asked about her family, why she hesitated, then answered honestly. They used my card to book a trip. I told them I wouldn't pay because I canceled it. They showed up at my house. I had to call the cops. Ethan blinked slowly. That's awful. She shrugged like it was nothing. But he didn't look away. That night, as she walked home under a thick purple sky, her phone rang again. Unknown number. She let it go to voicemail, then checked the message. It was from her mother. Amelia, I need you to call the rental company about the spa. They won't talk to me since the card was yours. No apology. No greeting. Just expectation. She deleted the message. The next week, Ethan texted her want to come see something. She met him near the marina where boats rested like sleeping animals. He walked her to the end of the dock and pointed to a small cottage with weathered blue shutters and a crooked fence. I bought this, she said quietly, needs work. Thought I'd fix it up and maybe rent part of it out for some extra income. Amelia tilted her head. You always said you wanted a place by the water. He smiled. Yeah, it just took longer than I thought. There was a moment where the wind carried his cologne toward her, and something in her chest cracked open. Over the next few days, they spent more time together fixing up the cottage. Painting, cleaning, replacing old floorboards. It was simple, uncomplicated, and it felt like healing. Until one afternoon, when Ethan returned from picking up supplies and found her sitting on the porch step, her hands shaking. What's wrong? He asked. She held up an envelope. It had been slid under her townhouse door. No return address. Inside were copies of documents, bank statements. Her name is on a mortgage she never signed. Co-signed for a commercial property loan in Florida. 5 years ago. Her fingers curled around the paper. She remembered her father asking her to sign something vague back then. Said it was just a backup in case they needed a second name. She hadn't thought about it since. But now the loan was delinquent. And her credit had taken the hit. Ethan crouched beside her. What do you want to do? She looked at his eyes, glassy. I don't know. I feel like my whole life's been signed away behind my back. She wanted to scream. Cry. To go back in time and say no every time she said yes. But she didn't break. Not yet. Instead, she stood, walked to the railing and stared at the water. I think I need a lawyer. Ethan nodded. I know someone, I'll set it up. That night she couldn't sleep. Her phone buzzed again. This time a text from Liam. Hope you're happy, Mom's sick over this. You ruined everything. She turned the phone off, placed it in a drawer, and walked outside barefoot to feel the grass beneath her feet. The stars above were scattered like secrets. The wind is cold but honest. She whispered into the night, "I'm not the villain." And in the darkness, something inside her whispered back, "Not anymore." The courtroom was colder than Amelia expected. Not because of the air conditioning, but because of the way people looked at her, like she was an exhibit on trial, not just a witness. Douglas sat across from her with Helena beside him, smug and confident as if they owned the world and its justice. Amelia's palms were clammy. The judge's robe swished as he entered. She felt the weight of everything she had endured press on her chest. Ethan squeezed her hand under the table before letting go, giving her a silent promise that she wasn't alone. The hearing began, and the lawyer representing her side stood tall, confident and thorough. He presented evidence of the forged signature on the second loan. Financial records detailing the chain of documents with timestamps highlighted were projected onto the courtroom screens. Helena's expression twitched ever so slightly when Amelia's attorney explained the timeline. She hadn't expected Amelia to trace it back so precisely. Douglas looked between Helena and the judge, his smugness wavering for the first time. Then came the forensic handwriting expert. The specialist broke down the inconsistencies between Amelia's signature and the one on the forged documents. He spoke calmly, pointing out the way Helena had imitated Amelia's unique loop on the L, and how it faltered under scrutiny. Helena's face was frozen by the time he stepped down. It was when Helena herself was called to the stand that the atmosphere shifted from tense to shattering. She maintained composure at first, answering questions with clinical precision, but under cross-examination by Amelia's lawyer, cracks began to show. When asked directly if she had any financial dealings on Amelia's behalf, Helena denied it. Then came the bombshell, an audio recording from a phone call between Helena and the bank manager that Ethan had helped Amelia acquire through a legal channel. In the call, Helena's voice could be heard giving instructions to process the loan quickly and not involve Amelia in communications since she was emotionally unwell. The courtroom gasped. Helena's denial crumbled in a single breath. Douglas clenched his fists beside her but said nothing. The judge's stern glare silenced the room as he warned Helena about perjury. Amelia kept her gaze steady. She didn't cry. She didn't tremble. She simply watched her past unravel publicly. All the doubts that once plagued her were now debris at her feet. When it was her turn to speak, her voice didn't shake. She told the judge everything. Not just about the forged loan but about the emotional manipulation, the silence, and the years of invisibility she endured under her husband's shadow and her mother-in-law's judgment. "I was made to feel small until I believed I was," she said. "But I know who I am now and I won't let them rewrite my life with lies again." The judge ruled in her favor, voiding the second loan and ordering financial restitution. Douglas was fined for his complicity, and Helena for fraud. As they left the courthouse, reporters surrounded them. Douglas shoved cameras aside, grim-faced and silent. Helena looked straight ahead as if she couldn't even see the damage she had caused. Amelia and Ethan slipped out of the back, avoiding the noise. They walked in silence until they reached the quiet edge of a park. The sky was soft with dusk, and the trees swayed in peace she hadn't felt in years. He stopped walking and turned to her. "You did it," he said softly. "You stood up and didn't back down." "I didn't know I could until I had no other choice," she replied. They sat on a bench watching a mother push her child on a swing in the distance. Amelia took a deep breath and looked at Ethan. "You were there when I needed someone the most, not to save me but to remind me I could save myself." He smiled, his eyes gentle. "And you did more than that, Amelia. You've become the person you were meant to be all alone." They didn't kiss then or make promises. It wasn't that kind of ending. It was better. He reached for her hand and she didn't pull away. Not because she needed him but because she wanted him there. Weeks passed, and Amelia began rebuilding her life. She moved into a small apartment filled with sunlight and space. She took up freelance consulting using her skills in project management. The solitude felt empowering, not lonely. Ethan visited often, sometimes bringing flowers, just bringing stories from his day. One evening, she found a letter in her mailbox addressed in Helena's handwriting. She opened it slowly, her fingers calm. The letter wasn't an apology but a justification. Helena wrote about legacy and control and how she only wanted Douglas to succeed. Amelia smiled softly as she folded the paper and dropped it in the trash. She didn't need closure from the woman who tried to erase her. She had already closed the door herself. Amelia's final meeting with Douglas happened unexpectedly at a grocery store. He was standing near the produce aisle, looking older than she remembered. He saw her and nodded awkwardly. "Emily," he said. "You look well." "I am well," she replied coolly. He looked like he wanted to say more, but her silence discouraged him. As she turned to leave, he called out, "I didn't mean for things to go that far." She paused but didn't look back. "But you didn't stop them either." And with that, she walked away without anger, without bitterness. Just peace. Later that night, as she sat by her window sipping tea, Ethan texted her. "Can I come over? Need to talk." He typed back, "Doors open." When he arrived, his eyes were serious and kind. He handed her a box. Inside was a necklace shaped like a compass. "For the journey you chose," he said. She looked at him unsure. "What is this, Etha?" He smiled slowly. "I've been offered a project overseas. Long one. I don't want to go if it means losing this, whatever this is between us. But I also won't stay just to hold it still." She stepped forward, took his hand and said, "Then we move together, not fast, not recklessly, but with intention." Not who I was before. I won't make decisions from fear anymore. They didn't say I love you that night. They didn't need to. What they had was deeper than declarations. And for the first time in years, Amelia slept without dreams of drowning. She had rescued herself.